Round one. Fight!
It's definitely not right that Sikhs are putting so much emphasis on non-Sikh media. What happened to our story? What happened to our narrative? History is his story. It's the story told by people who have lived it and believed in it. Sikhs want their story to be told. They want their history to be accurate. They have to be the ones giving the narrative.
I get that, but who in our community is going to read those stories that are written? The only time we have any recognition, even amongst ourselves, is when other people write the story and we're like, oh, look at this BBC News article I shared about 1984. The only way we're going to get our voice heard is when other people write the story, and that's the only time we care.
Okay, but that kind of deviant behavior doesn't mean that we still shouldn't be the ones to create our own story. We shouldn't be the ones telling what happened to us and what took place 30 years ago in 1984, before it and after it. Until we tell our story, we're always going to be reliant on the other, on somebody else, to lead not only where we've come from, but our direction in the future too.
Out of all of the accountants, doctors, lawyers that we have in the pond, how many journalists do we have to even begin this task of writing our story? We're lucky that people from outside even want to talk about our history when it has nothing to do with them. And I think we should be grateful for that coverage and absorb it and share it as much as possible.
Okay, I know you just didn't go down the route of what non-Sikh media exists and the fact there's very little Sikh media. There's a huge chunk of Sikh media. We've got 3 TV stations in the United Kingdom alone. There are 2 dedicated YouTube channels. We have a plethora of radio stations and newspapers. We have no excuses for not telling our story our way.
No one watches those news channels and YouTube stations and all that other stuff that you're talking about. It's all in Punjabi. It's in a language that doesn't even connect with the audience that is trying to present information to. And it's all about stuff that people don't even care about. We need people from outside to tell our story because maybe it'll encourage us to look at the facts more closely ourselves.
Round two. Fight!
It's not good enough to say we don't have these skills or we don't have these people. And I'd even refute that. I think we do have some professional people who could tell our story.
Out of like 90% of the whole Panth are all like doctors, lawyers and accountants. And nobody cares about the arts or journalism in our community, and nobody would even care if we wrote about it within our own community. The only reason we give such significance to these events is when BBC writes about it or ITN writes about it. We don't really care within our community enough to make that effort.
Okay, there's a serious problem here because as far as I can tell, we have a whole bastion of Sikh media outlets that are taking our daswand, our money every single month. What the heck are we all paying them for if they are not presenting a professional experience of the world at large, of current affairs and of our own history? That's not a good enough argument, I'm afraid. We have Sikh media, they need to pull up their socks, and Sikhs as a collective need to stop relying on the other to tell our story.
I think the only way we have this information, all of the sources from the 80s were all from foreign media. Sikhs very rarely read or write these days, and they didn't in the past either. I think without that, we lose all link to our history and all link to reporting events as they happen. We should be grateful that we have a voice that's outside of our community to preserve our history.
Round three. Fight!
The level or the quality of Sikh media and their presentations, their productions and reporting is up for grabs, yes. And it isn't as professional or as well-renowned as some of the more established Western media. But it's up to us to change that. If you think that Sikh media is not doing a good enough job, stop investing in them. I don't put any money into any of them because they don't know what they're doing. They don't employ professional people. I'm a professional broadcaster. I set up my own outlet and that's what I'm using to tell our story. It's not a good enough excuse to say that we're not professional enough.
Hey man, if you got a call from BBC telling you to come and tell your story, you'd be there. So the non-Sikh media is always going to have that significance and it's always going to have the importance because we as a community give it that importance. If we stopped giving it the importance and said, you know what, I'm interested in what the Sikh has to say, I'm going to go out and find the Sikh source, then that media would die off. They'd lose interest in our community anyway because we would stop engaging with them. But we're by the phone when that rings, 30th anniversary, yeah man, I'm there in the studio.
Cut it short, in the wise words of my illustrious friend Jay-Z, I've got 99 problems, but Bhangra ain't one.
I don't know what to say back to that. Alright, what do we do with that?